Hey there, welcome to Hey Pastor. My name is Nate, and I have been a pastor full-time in the restoration movement for over 10 years now. My goal with this video and other videos on my channel is to give some interesting insights into various church-related topics and things like today's topic. What do pastors do during the week? Frequently, I get asked questions. It's like, "Oh, you only work 1 day a week, right?" Or, "What does your week look like?" So here is what I do on any given week. A little bit of context here. I am a pastor of a church of about 200 in a rural congregation. I have a few staff, so I am not a solo pastor. So your mileage may vary based on how many staff are at your church, as well as what denomination you are a part of, if you have various committees and different things like that. So, with that out of the way, the disclaimer, we'll jump into my week. So, over here, we're going to start on Monday morning. I get in the office every day around 8 o'clock in the morning. My goal for there, I'm here. Generally, my office hours are 8 to 3, with quite a few things in the evening spread throughout the week. So, my first half hour or so every day when I get in the office is to plan my day. So this is I'll check emails that maybe have come in through the night before. I use a couple of different programs to help me manage my day, my tasks, all the different things like that. So my first half hour is really just getting myself ready for the day. Next up, I work on sermon prep. So pretty much until lunch every day, if I can help it, I am working on sermons. And so I start my morning with about an hour and a half of working on this week's sermon. So Monday morning, I'm working on what I'm going to be preaching on Sunday. And then after that, I spend about an hour and a half working on the sermon 4 weeks out. And you'll see kind of how this works as we get through a few days here. But I like to work very far ahead. The reason I do this is it helps me start to process and think through the different things I want to see or I want to say for different illustrations. So essentially, each week by Monday, my goal when I get into the office is to have all of my research finished for that sermon. I will have touched on it 4 different times leading up to that week. Then I can work on Monday on writing. So all my research is generally done. I've gone through my commentaries. Then I can just work on writing. So here, 4 weeks out, I'm working on going through the first commentary, reading through. I'll pull out my resources and begin to study. So my morning, pretty much on Mondays, I prep for the day, and then I will work on my sermons. Then I generally plan about half hour to go home for lunch, see my baby, and enjoy lunch. And then when I get back, I spend about 2 hours generally on various tasks. Tasks can be things like if I have a meeting coming up that evening, working on the agenda for that, or just anything that I need to do for that. Also, there's just a lot of things that go on in ministry that need to be done, right? Cleaning different things, setting up for different things, working on graphics for different things. Kind of this is my task list. Also, if I'm running any meetings during the day, I will put them during this time slot also. I try my best not to schedule anything during my sermon prep time. That is my time to really focus, and I kind of will shut my door and try not to get distracted there. This time of the day, though, a little bit more people can come in and talk and chat. And so I'll do staff meetings during this time, my one-on-ones with different staff, volunteer meetings I'll try and schedule here. So any of my meetings I try and schedule right there. Next up, I kind of close my day with about 15 to 30 minutes generally of checking emails, getting things ready for the next day, sending text messages back if I missed any texts through the day, check and see if anybody in the congregation needs anything, those type of things. Then for this week, we have our ministry team meetings. And so this will start at 6, and I'll be here probably till 10. And so I have 2 meetings kind of back to back. One is with all the various leaders of ministries in my church, and then I have an elders meeting after that. So all of this, that is my Monday. Next up on Tuesday, it starts very similar. I have my prep time. this week's sermon, and then my sermon 3 weeks out instead of 4 weeks out. Generally, by this point, my goal is to have all of the research done, have most of my outline finished, so I know what I want to say, and I'm working now on illustrations and transitions and trying to make it sound good. Wednesday, I work on my transcript, try and get the whole thing completely done. Thursday, I will practice it and make sure that my sermon is good to go there. So that's kind of how this week's sermons work. Got lunch again, tasks again, emails. All pretty much the same there. Um, on Tuesday evenings this week, Abby and we have lunch with a family here in the church. That is something that we try and do pretty regularly. We do that a lot on Sundays and a lot on Tuesdays, where we'll go to someone's home, have dinner, invite them to our home. It really helps a lot. That's just so a lot of what we do there. So you can kind of see there is my Tuesday. My Wednesday, I have a breakfast scheduled, so that will be early, so I'll go out, do that, and then I'll come into the office a little bit later. This is a lunch with someone in the congregation. I skip my prep just because 'cause I'm gonna be out and about. I've got this week's sermon, 2 week sermon, lunch, all pretty much the same, tasks, emails, and our church doesn't have any Wednesday evening services for adults, so I don't have anything to do here. I've been at churches in the past, though, where evening services are going on. There's a little bit more in the evening, but that's not the case for us. Thursday starts off pretty much the same. My prep, this week's sermon, and then I work on next week's sermon, lunch. And then this week, I have a couple of people in the hospital, so I'm going to go and visit them. Our hospital is about half hour away from me, so it's a fairly big chunk of my time. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes a little bit further down to 4 or 5, give or take. So that is my Thursday. My Friday is my day off. So I take Friday, I'm home. I take my daughter on Fridays. My wife takes her during the week, which is awesome, and I'm so grateful. But I try and give her a day off on Friday, and my baby and I will go out of the house, we'll explore, we'll do some fun stuff. But then when she goes to bed in the evening, I will go back to the church on Friday night and I will run through my sermon. So I have it all completely finished at this point, and I am then practicing my sermon. Now, when I get to Saturday, it is the same thing once baby goes to bed, but this time I actually bring the sermon home and I preach it to my wife at home. Abby is awesome at this. She has a Bible college degree as well, and she kind of gets my last little run through, which is awesome. So she goes through and listens to it and says, "Hey, that point's really good," or "That doesn't come across the way that you think it's going to come across," and it very, very helpful for me. She kind of gets my last run through, and then if I'm using any illustrations with her, the family, anything like that, Abby gets final veto on any stories that I tell from the pulpit for the family. And then we get to Sunday. I'm generally in around 8 o'clock. I run through my sermon one more time. We then have church, normal church service, and then I have a meal after church. We're going out to eat this week with the family. So that is a normal week for me here at the church. That is roughly 45 to 50 hours generally is what I try and schedule. Sometimes on Saturdays, there are larger events that are going on, things that I will need to be at for church. If that is something that pops up, right? Say I have a 4 hour event on Saturday here, I will go and I'll leave early, one day early in the week, just to kind of compensate for that. And some weeks are going to be 70-hour weeks, and that is just part of it. That is what we do. That's part of the job. On one of those weeks where we have a 70-hour week, I will then take a couple of these tasks. I'll just go home early for lunch, or I'll go home at lunch and then just kind of stay home. So my goal is ideally 45 hours a week with the expectation that things are going to come up an additional 5 hours, and try and keep it at 50 and under. So that is a look inside what do pastors do during the week. I hope this was helpful for you. If you are a member of a congregation, hope that this gives you some insight into what your pastor does during the week. If you're a young man who is looking to go into ministry, I hope that this is helpful, provides you maybe a little bit of insight into my prep and how all that works. If you like this content and would like to see more of it, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button to tune in for more in future Hey Pastor content. Well, so glad you were here. We'll see you next time. Peace.